Good evening. It's May 20th, 7 o'clock. We're about to start our Board of Selectmen meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you to those that came here tonight in person as well as those online. All right. Accepting the agenda, I have one addition, actually one subtraction from the agenda. Everyone should have received the email, but 7B, the adoption of the non-unit administrative pay plan needs to be shelved until the June 3rd meeting. I was unable to get that resolved with Tom, so I'd like to pull that off, but everything else is fine to me. Would someone like to make a motion to approve this with that?
I'll make a motion. We approve this agenda with the edit to remove item B, 7B.
All right.
And I'll second it.
Jim seconds it. Further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item agenda number 4, approval of the minutes from our regular May 6th meeting. Has everyone reviewed that?
Yes.
Any issues, any discrepancies in there? I did not find them either. Someone please make a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes from May 6th, 2026.
Second it.
Andrew makes the motion, Ben seconds it. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstention? Motion passes. All right. Communication and correspondence. I have a few, but I'm going to actually put this to the end. We have a guest here going to speak during public comment. So we can go to the next one, which is public comments. Anyone in the audience like to? So just up to talking to the microphone and name, address.
Good evening. My name is Wayne Carini, my wife Lori Carini. We reside at 17 Isinglass Hill Road and previously Thompson Hill Road here in Portland. As some of you may know that I own F40 Motorsports on Route 66. I've been a resident of Portland since 1973. Lori and I last night celebrated our 42nd wedding anniversary. Thank you. Thank you. And you know, we built our family. We built my business here. I've been very fortunate to have some really great things happen to me. I have a television show that was that we started many years ago, 20 some years ago, Chasing Classic Cars, which is shown all over the world and over 100 countries. My voice is dubbed in 38 languages, and it's the most popular automotive TV show in the world. So I'm very proud of that, and we filmed 90% of it here in Portland. And we get customers and fans from all over the world come in weekly to visit us and spend time and spend money here in Portland. They love going to Farrell's, so it's a great place, and they love coming to visit us. The reason I want to speak tonight is that we have something that has been a big problem to our family, and I think the big problem to Portland, right in our own backyard. We live at 17 Isinglass Hill Road. We built a big, beautiful house there a few years ago. And in our backyard is a quarry that Connecticut Explosives owns. And they store a lot of explosive materials there. Fertilizer, blasting. We're not going to get into that, but fertilizer and I've been told firearms, a lot of things that the different government agencies don't want anybody to know is up there. And it's a real scare to us. Now, they want to put 4 100-foot silos full of ammonium nitrate 500 feet from our home. Ammonium nitrate, as you well know, during the Kansas City bombing where they blew up the building was a van full of ammonium nitrate mixed with diesel fuel and blasting caps. It leveled the building. There would be enough material up there that if ever something ever happened would wipe out Glastonbury, Portland, Middletown, all surrounding towns. And all you got to do is look it up online to see the devastation that this stuff can cause. In Texas, there's been hundreds of deaths in different places where this ammonium nitrate is stored. And we fought this a few years ago here in town for him to get a permit to do this, and the town zoning board of appeals passed it through like a hot knife through butter. Not having a plan, let's say that a lightning strike hits in the woods and this stuff catches on fire. What was the plan? We asked the fire marshal's office and they said, we don't have a plan. The plan is that our fire department will not go into the premises because they don't know how to handle a fire like that. And we are 500 feet away from that. It's going to affect the value of my property. It's going to affect my insurance, which I'm sure once that's done, the insurance company will drop me. And we have other people. The gentleman that just bought the farm next door from Mr. Hosley. He's very concerned, and all of us should be very concerned in town. We really need to know what is there and why is this going to be so close to me? He has over 90 acres there. He could put it way in the other side. It's still dangerous, but it's not next to our home. When this ammonium nitrate with these silos is put into these trucks, it's powder that flies in the air and it can cause all sorts of respiratory problems. We have our grandchildren that visit us quite often. We have a swimming pool right there and we live there. I mean, this is affecting our lives drastically. Emotionally, it causes great distress on a daily basis. And yet nobody wants to do anything here in town about it. Now, if you look back in the records, at one time I was the 12th largest taxpayer here in town, a personal person, because we own a beautiful home, my business, another piece of property here in town, and the 12th largest taxpayer. We pay over $110,000 to this town every year in taxes. Mr. Hosley pays a pittance of that because it's a tree farm. He doesn't pay any taxes, basically. He doesn't live here. He lives down in Essex. So the town is not looking after its residents. They're looking after a guy that wants to put a business in and with all sorts of problems. Now, would you think it would be okay to put these silos next to a school, next to a church in downtown Portland? Of course not. It shouldn't be put there. And the reason they said is Mr. Hosley has a grandfather clause that says that he can store explosives there, and it was there since the 1800s. If there was a house of ill repute on that property over 100 years ago, would that still be appropriate? Of course not. This is not appropriate. It should be in an industrial zone, somewhere way far away from everyone, not 500 feet away from our home. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. There's a ZBA meeting tomorrow night about this. He is trying to move these silos further away from our house, but closer to our pool house, which is still 500-800 feet. Who cares? It's not appropriate. And so I hope you pay attention to that. I hope we can do something together to fend this off, because if the town of Portland allows this to happen and I lose value on my property, I'll have to go to whoever is responsible for this happening, and just to be able to recoup my losses, to get insurance on our property, and to live the life that we've had here in Portland for so many years and enjoyed it. I mean, our kids went to school here. Our grandchildren come and visit. I mean, it's a nice place. We love Portland. I grew up in Glastonbury, just over the border. We love Glastonbury, but I had plenty of chances to move anywhere in the world I wanted to, and I chose Portland, and we're here to stay. We hope. So thank you for listening to us tonight, and I hope that you can give it some thought, and maybe you can say something to the appropriate people that are going to be on the ZBA to see if we can put this to bed once and for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mrs. Green, did you want to say something? Did you want to say something? Okay, there you go. Thank you for coming tonight. Right, anybody else? Was that? We'll go last? All right.
Judy Grippo. It's not, can you hear me? 10 Middle Haddam Road, Portland. I know the budget was passed. But the additional money that the state of Connecticut, over $580,000, was never addressed prior to the referendum passing. And I know that you will be passing a budget tonight, or setting a mill rate tonight. I would like the board to address the extra $580,000 that the state allocated to us and how you're going to use it. And also to assure the townspeople that it's not going to be spent, but added to the reduction in the mill rate. So I know you're going to be addressing that after public comments, but I wanted to bring it up prior to. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Jason Morocco, Director of Public Works. Board of Selectmen, I'd just like to each of you know that this week is Public Works Week. So I just wanted to read something that I put together. As we recognize Public Works Week, I want to take a moment to acknowledge and thank all the employees in our Public Works Department, including building maintenance, grounds, water, sewer, highway, fleet maintenance, and resource recovery. These men and women are truly the unsung heroes who keep our town running every single day. Much of their work happens behind the scenes and often goes unnoticed, but their efforts are essential to the health, safety, and daily operations of our community. Whether it's maintaining our roads, ensuring safe drinking water, keeping our facilities operational, managing our parks and grounds, treating our sewage, and responding to emergencies, or working long hours during storms and in difficult situations and conditions, they are always there when the town needs them. Public Works is just not about equipment and infrastructure. It's about dedicated people who take pride in serving their community. On behalf of the town, I would like to sincerely thank our Public Works employees for their hard work, professionalism, and commitment throughout the year. Their efforts are appreciated more than they know, and this town would not function without them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Here.
Yeah, what do we now?
Hello, Andy Dione, a Portland resident and also the Parks and Rec Director. Mike asked me to stop by tonight and kind of give an overview of the stuff that Parks and Rec is working on right now. So summer, of course, is going to be here before we know it. So I want to mention our summer concert series that we put on every year with the Brownstone Quorum. Those are 6:30 p.m. on Tuesdays, starting on July 14th with the Mick Lewis Band. We also have July 21st, Great Hill Mountain Band, July 28th, Kings of Karma, August 4th, Don't Tell Lisa, and August 11th, Wicked Peach. That's our lineup this year. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody down at Riverfront on Tuesdays. We also have our free fun runs program that's overseen by Parks and Rec Commission member Deb Ruth. That's starting on Thursdays at 6 p.m. at the Rec Complex from July 16th to August 13th. There's multiple age groups ranging from 4 and under to 60 plus. So that's a great program for us, and we look forward to seeing you there as well. We're also partnering with the Portland Sports Hall of Fame to accept nominations for the class of 2026. The deadline to nominate someone is July 15th. We'll have a banquet and induction ceremony in November, and this group has been defunct since 2009. Rick Borg is one of the original members of the first group. He's helping Portland residents, including myself, bring this group back. It's long overdue. Since 2009, we've had multiple state champions in multiple sports, basketball, wrestling, golf, baseball, soccer. I graduated in 2007 from Portland High School. All those great girls cross country teams, none of them are in the Hall of Fame yet. So we have a lot of ground to cover, and we can't get anybody in unless they're nominated. So you can nominate folks through the Parks and Rec website. There's paper forms available. So just reach out to me and I'll help you nominate someone if you're interested. Our Kids Blast program at Biz, the after school program, is going strong. That's for kids, students in grades K through 6. Registration for next year is already open. And since I'm here, I just want to urge this board to consider Kids Blast as the school consolidation plan moves forward. There needs to be a place at the New Valley View or at Gildersleeve for Kids Blast, or we need to keep Biz as a town building to allow Parks and Rec to run Kids Blast out of that facility. Right now, there's 40 Portland students at Kids Blast. There's currently a 23,500 net revenue for Kids Blast, with an expense of mostly payroll, about 1,300 a week. So I feel confident telling this board right now that program will net about $17,000 this fiscal year. As recently as 3 years ago, it net just 1,000. But it's more than revenue. It's safe and affordable childcare for Portland residents. Portland families pay $22.50 a day or $7.50 an hour for this program. So Kids Blast is the best of both worlds. It's a revenue generator and it's an essential service. But we can't generate that revenue and we can't provide that service without space. We also have our Summer Quest camp program open for registration. We use the high school, middle school for that program. I want to thank Bob Shea for making it work for us every single year. It's usually 7 weeks. This year it's 6.5 weeks because of the way the school calendar fell. The first day is June 24th. We have 3 age groups: kiddie camp, ages 3.5 to 5, base camp, grades 1 through 6, and teen camp, grades 7 through 9. That's an average of about 100 kids a week. We also have men's drop-in basketball at the middle school from 7:30 to 9. On Tuesdays, the last day is June 9th for that program. Now that we have access to your old meeting space at Buck Foreman, we're able to offer programs there again. Right now, actually, literally right now, there's a Pilates program going on in that space, and we have registration open for strength training, yoga, and Pilates. That's going to take place in July. We have adult golf programs with Jerry tomorrow over at Golf West going on right now, and also a program in June that's open for registration. A new thing I'm super excited about is we're bringing back adult softball. I'm starting a new co-ed softball league with East Hampton and Colchester. That's going to be starting in July at Nolan Field. It's an 8-week program. We're going to have at least one Portland team. I'm pretty confident we can probably get 2. So if you want to join a team, reach out to me. I'll get you assigned to a team. We're looking forward to that. We have multi-sport programs for kids ages 2 to 5 right now at Riverfront Park on Saturdays. We're offering a new session of that in July as well. We have a boating certificate class taking place in June that's taught by an instructor from Deep. Folks will leave that program with a certificate, certifying they're able to operate a boat safely. We also have community garden registration just closed. Those folks will be planting their flowers and produce very soon. I want to thank Jill Benson and the other master gardeners there, because most of that produce is actually donated to the Portland Food Bank, which is great to see. We partnered with Youth Services to offer a babysitting course that just filled up today. Ages 11 to 18, folks will leave that program with a certificate in first aid and CPR. Andy Bauer, who you all know from the Clean Energy Task Force, as he always does, is helping us with adult horseshoes. It's also a free program on Wednesdays at Rose Hill. So you can reach out to me to register for that. Like I said, it's free for Portland residents. Lego STEAM camps for ages 5 and 6 and 7 to 9, taking place in July. Registration's open. Tai Chi on Wednesday and Saturdays is all year round. When it's nice outside, they're over at Riverfront. If it's raining or cold, they're at the Buck Foreman building. We have Skyhawks tennis camp for ages 7 to 12, week of July 13th. USTA tennis lessons for grades 1 and 2 and 3 through 8 on Tuesdays and Thursdays in July. We're super excited about the Brownstone Track Club. It's the second year we're doing this. Portland resident Chris Brown is running that program for kids ages 11 to 18 over at the high school track in July as well. We're partnering with the state through the Justice Education Center to offer, once again, Inspire Girls Basketball. That's $20 for Portland residents. It's a 7-hour camp for girls ages 6 to 13. It's basketball focused, but here's where the state funding comes in. It's actually really about leadership, empathy, compassion, honesty, open-mindedness, opportunity. Food is provided. Field trips are included. And the cost to Portland residents for that program is $0. Like I said, the funding is all through the state. We also have Slamma Jamma basketball going on the week of June 29th over at Biz. Junior golf workshops, again at Golf West with Jerry. 3 age groups ranging from kindergarten to 8th grade. Right now, we're focusing on also staff training for our Summer Quest program. It's about 40 employees a year. There's adults who work for the Board of Ed during the school year, adults who are parents of kids in town, but also a lot of the folks who work are Portland residents who are high school kids or college kids. It's their first job. We're teaching them how to be professional. We're teaching them what it means to have a job, filling out time cards, getting trained in many different things, including first aid and CPR. So I want to thank Tommy Senkowitz from the fire department and grounds. He's the person that makes sure everyone's certified. So we're very thankful for that. And that's just our kind of immediate, programs, but we're also looking forward to the fall. Our 5K is scheduled for September 26th. We also have our youth basketball leagues, cheerleading, the tree lighting and Easter egg hunt, among many other programs and activities. So like I said, Mike, you asked me to come by and kind of let people know. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
We don't do anything, do we?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's all, Andy?
Andy,
That's all I could think of in a couple hours.
Great.
Really
Great.
appreciate
All
that.
right, thank you,
you,
everybody.
Thank
Thanks.
Thanks, Andy.
It's great to see all the programs coming up. So that is excellent. All right, and last call, any other? All right. Then we'll get on to budget matters and resolutions.
I was gonna let you do your budget and then bug you, but I'll bug you now. I think the last time I got, Kim Hanna, 3 Butler Lane, Portland. The last time I got up here and talked to you guys, I kind of made a promise that I was done beating the Butler Lane drum. But I'm reneging on that promise, unfortunately. Mainly, I guess my biggest complaint, as you know, polls were put in on Butler Lane in the last couple of weeks, and the traffic control was awful. And I don't understand the reasoning when you have a paid company who's handling the traffic and you have a police officer who goes up and requests that the gate be closed for safety. They're there to ensure the safety of that area and are told no. I'm just appalled. I'm appalled. And then, okay, so kids are kids. They don't have the greatest common sense, but when you have adults that come down and they see all that going on the road was narrowed to about 1/3 of its width because the trucks don't park on they're in the middle of the road. I sent you some pictures there, and we have a school van with students on it coming down that road instead of going the other way. I was pretty upset because I'm thinking about, number one, especially when they were doing the poll on the corner of High Street. Now, the sight lines are terrible. They're trying to get traffic over High Street. They're trying to get traffic out of that street. And you've got a school van bringing students through that to avoid going through the parking lot and over the speed bumps. At some point, somebody's responsible. And something's going to happen. But this particular circumstance was really upsetting to me because there was just the adults in the room were not using any common sense. I don't expect a lot of kids. They're kids. But I expect our employees that you are the boss of, that are responsible for our children, to make a common sense decision. And when they're asked by a safety company and a police officer to close that gate and they say, no, they don't want to, to me, that's unacceptable. And anybody that's got parents that are and that's dealing with these kids going through that situation should be really upset. Because that's a huge safety concern. We've talked all year, I've been in this room, and we've talked about safety. We've talked about safety on the roads and speed cameras and everything we can do to make the roads safer. You've got a dead end road with signs that say it's not a through road, and you've got this kind of chaos going on there. So I think it's time to really tackle that problem. Personally.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Ken.
And anybody else? Oh,
I wasn't going to say anything. I'm Meg Scatta, 5 Freedom Way. I'm on the Board of Education. Just as you deliberate the $580,000 that the state has allocated to the town of Portland, my understanding is that $527,951 was a supplemental aid to education, and $52,900 was a supplemental to the municipality. I understand tax relief is front and center to what we would like to see happen. And I want to thank the town and the Board of Selectmen for supporting our referendum and our town budget this year. We appreciate everything that's done. and I want to be fair about this, but I also want to make sure that the educational supplemental aid that was designated to offset special education, excess costs, transportation, health insurance benefits, and all of the above should be a consideration as you deliberate on how we can fairly and justly and equitably share the money with taxpayers and with the Board of Education. So I would just urge you to be thoughtful about it. And just say thank you in advance for the deliberation that you will do tonight. And I understand that it's a huge amount of money. We were very, very fortunate in the governor's allocation to Portland. Some towns did not fare as well, quite frankly. So thank you. And I also would just like to say to Andy, thank you for that report. I was very happy that I'm sitting in the youth service office right now. We were able to find funding through our DCF fund, our allocation, to fund that babysitting program and offer it to students and to the kids in town who want to start a babysitting business and work to earn some college money or some crazy money. So thank you. And thank Andy. Thank you.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you, Meg. All right, last one. Anybody else? All right, very good. All right, let's move on to the budget. So first of all, I have to thank all the folks that voted for not only the budget, but also for the school. I want to review the numbers really quickly because I think it's worthwhile, because I was absolutely blown away by not only the turnout that we had, but also the number of people that voted.
Mike, the mic's not going to hear you with that sign.
Can you hear me now?
It's because yeah.
How about that? All right. I'll talk louder. So anyways, so we had a record turnout for the number of people that voted this time. Can you hear me okay? Nick? Thank you, Nick. Anyways, so we had 2,203 registered voters cast a ballot, 32.4%. That is a record. Not at all. My DJ days, all right. So again, let me start again. So we had on this last election, 2,203 registered voters cast a vote. Out of the Portland's voters of 6,793, 21 people that own property in town but don't live in town also voted. That's 32%. That's a third of the voters out there. We never get that on a non-presidential election. It just doesn't happen. But this time we had so many people come out. And I think because they understood the plan, and I'm talking school specifically, but they understood the plan, $109 million project, but we explained it well. I think collectively those that understood the plan, I think people understood it. They came out and they voted for a project that made sense to them, certainly after the vote, after 2 years ago when they voted down the last plan. So again, I thank everyone that went out and voted. That's fantastic. The actual votes for each one for the budget referendum, the yes vote was 1826 for, 372 against. It passed by almost a 6-1 vote. That tells me that people trust this board and what we did during the process. I think a lot of people paid attention. Now, some people may have still disagreed. I respect the no's. I respect the yeses. I have less of an issue with the ones that chose not to vote at all if they felt passionate about it. For the second question on the school project, it was actually a little bit more in favor. 1,867 voted yes, 350 voted no for a bigger project. So again, I just have to thank the voters that did that. The voters spoke. I think we did a great job out there, and I'm happy that that happened. So thank you very much for everyone out there. We as a board worked hard to convey information about this project to everyone. Also about the details of the budget. So I want to thank all of us up here. David, I want to thank you as well at home for putting a lot of effort into it. We worked really hard to get that number down as low as we could. And I think we did a great job with that. So thank you again. With regards to the money that the state has given to the towns out there, there is $52.9 thousand from the Mohegan Fund has come in or will be coming in, and we will be allocating that toward mill rate reductions. And the mill rate that's on tonight that we're going to reduce it, that we're going to talk about, reflects that $52,900. The $527,951 has had, it's gone back and forth over the last week or two, I think, to say fair.
How will that be allocated? What did the Senate say? What did the governor say, et cetera? So the last that I spoke today to one of our attorneys regarding this was that money should and needs to go to the Board of Education, where they get to decide what they're going to do. Now, I have Charles on the phone as well. He should be online, I believe. And I'll have him clarify some of the rules on that too, because I know they've been following it very closely, but that money will be able to be used by them for a variety of things. We have a number of things going on right now that have issues. For example, gas prices have gone up. For the budget that was picked, we had an insurance issue that caused, I believe, a deficit of $200 and something thousand. There are reasons and uses for that funds that I think will, and again, they'll best decide what's going to make the most sense for that funding, but they're taking that seriously, and Charles can jump on in a second to maybe walk through his vision of that, but that money will be going to Board of Ed in October. I believe October 1st to 31st is when that funds will actually be transferred over. So tonight, when we vote on this budget and when we vote on the mill rate reflected in what everyone has up here will reflect the $52,900 applied against that budget, and that reduces the mill rate down slightly. So we'll go over those numbers when we come up to that vote. But with that, Charles, if you're on.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, beautiful. So if you can walk through your understanding of the process, I think it's important not only for the board members here, but those watching at home, and for someone that just went up there and expressed some concern about that. So.
Yeah, sure. You guys, everybody can hear me, right? My camera's not working, so right
We can.
right now. All right. So the way I understand it is that money is going to come to the Board of Ed, the 520,000, and the way that the Connecticut State Department of Education is advising us is that we should put that in a special fund, and then we have to account for it and spend it only for educational purposes. And it's pretty, there's not a lot of strings attached to what they define as educational purposes, whether it's equipment, supplies, staffing, all of our different needs. But we are going to be asked to, when the audit comes, account for that money, very similar to the way that we had to account for the COVID funds when they came in from the federal government several years ago in the various different rounds. I'm going to be completely transparent. What you are allowed to do is reduce the amount that goes to the board, right? So that you're able to look at that 520,000 and reduce from the town's allocation to the board that amount. And then, of course, if that were to happen, which I'm definitely not going to advise, and I'll explain why, we would then clearly know that we have to make up that difference. And it's, of course, as long as you don't go below the minimum budget requirement established by the state, which you wouldn't at this point. Now, clearly, what I'm going to recommend is that you set the mill rate tonight based on the 6-1 yes vote, and let those funds come to the board. Of course, I agree with you, Mike, and thank you to everybody that came out and voted. That was a great night and an overwhelming success. Now, even though the budget passed at that level, I'm just going to remind you, and I pointed this out during our budget deliberation process, we are right now, if I don't make any further cuts to the budget, in a little bit more than a $200,000 deficit that was caused by two things. One, the $50,000 cut that the Board of Selectmen made to the Board of Ed budget. And as we talked about, the calendar for the budget development is difficult because the Board of Education sets its budget before we know the actual health insurance increase, because we're working on the budget very early in the year. And the Board of Ed budget that was voted on and sent to the Board of Selectmen was established before the final numbers came in on a very large health insurance premium increase, which really punched all of us in the gut, right? So we're right now in about a $200,000 deficit. So the first thing that I'm going to recommend to the board is that we allocate that funding from the state to the health insurance line item and to offset the $50,000 cut, which the board placed in the salaries account last night on an action at the Board of Education meeting last night. Just as a side note, we were all very much hoping that this would happen. I know that we were very active with our state legislators. We went to lots of legislative breakfasts. Meg is there, and in her capacity as president of CABE, lobbied very hard. You all read the letters that we wrote to Christy Carpino and Norm Needleman. I know CABE and CAPS. We all fought very hard this year for this additional funding because all superintendents in the state were making enormous cuts to our budgets already in a time of increasing special education costs and dramatic health insurance increases, which are shocking and just absolutely obnoxious that we have to deal with. And even to get to the Board of Education's number, which was a 4.9% increase, we made significant reductions. I reduced a teaching position. We reduced a clinician position. We cut the facilities. We cut supplies and equipment. We went right down to the bare bone, even to get into that 4.9% increase, simply because of that health insurance increase and what we're up against with that challenge. So would I love to be able to put at least that one teaching position back? I would. Otherwise, there are no lack of needs for supplies, equipment, repairs, air handling units, any number of things at the secondary school that we can apply that to help offset a lot of the cuts that we made and emerging needs that we're facing in the schools. And then I'm just going to point out two more things that very much has my attention and I'm very nervous about. And I know Tom will probably be nodding his head because the town should be nervous about this too. We haven't yet realized the dramatic effect that is going to be caused by gas at $5 a gallon. When that starts to hit us, in addition to all the downline inflationary pressures that's going to cause. I mean, we saw this happen when Russia invaded Ukraine, right? Like a lot of the inflation and pressures that we've experienced are about to happen again, right? I mean, things were getting better before just a month or so ago. Things have now turned bad again. So I know that Stephanie's very concerned and I'm very concerned about what that's going to look like when we're making purchases, not only for heating fuel and fertilizer and all of the petroleum-based products that we use, but the pressures that places on the entire supply chain and how that's going to start affecting us very shortly and certainly before the end of the year. So, my ask tonight is, of course, set the mill rate based on the 6-to-1 approval, yes to no approval for the budget. Trust that the first $200,000 of that money is going to be used to offset the health insurance and the cut that we took. Right away, I may ask the Board of Education to add back that teaching position because I don't want larger class sizes. And then, the Board of Education and we have to be very thoughtful. We have lots of needs and lots of places that we can use those funds, and we still want to wait and see and be smart about, hey, it's nice to maybe not commit some of that fund yet until we realize the impact of the inflationary pressures that is going to definitely hit us when, anybody who's filled up their car with gas understands what we're dealing with now. And we have minivans that we fill up and fertilizer that we buy, and we're headed for a rough patch. So I understand that there would be an inclination to take that money to lower the mill rate. I'm not sure that would be the wisest thing to do now, because if we're in a deficit position later in the year, I might be back to you like I was a couple of years ago saying, hey, this is what we're experiencing. That was a lot of talking. I'll stop and see if there are any questions or if anybody wants me to unpack any of that.
Can I ask a question? Oh, of course. So you kind of said there was a $200,000 issue. It was, my understanding was that it was 140. And if I understand this correctly, I just want to understand the process, right? The 529,000 needs to be used for education. I get it. But dollar for dollar, the town could just follow the process here. The town could provide $529,000 less to the Board of Ed, correct? Because we allocate the money.
That is
It's
accurate.
it's a yes or no. The answer is yes.
Yes, that is
Right?
accurate.
So I just can't help but say to myself, here we got a $529,000 gift. And I mean, this is not a revenue problem. I think we have a spending problem, right? So if this was 529,000, or if it was $1 million or 3 million, we're going to find a way to spend the money, right? And I don't mean it to be arrogant, but this is an opportunity that we have to make sure that we properly fund our Board of Ed and also get some taxpayer relief, right? And I think we're starting with the opposite. We're starting with the $140,000 is now $200,000 gap that we need the money for. And what else, and now we're coming up with other things. I think at this point, the town has already given the Board of Ed a budget, right? We will be getting that 529 there, but I mean, at some point, I think that the starting point should be dollar for dollar. The 529 needs to come out of the Board of Ed and then backfill it with things that we know are needed, as opposed to the money being taken at first and then trying to figure it out later. I'm saying is if there's line items of specific things, gas just went through the roof. Hey, we have a teacher that we'd like to keep. Hey, then we talk about those, but that's got to be like supplemental. It can't be like right off the top. Because ultimately this was supposed to be for trying to help education, but really it was for property tax relief. And if this number was 529 or $1 million or 1.5, I think we'd find things that we want to spend money on. And we're no different at home, right? You get a raise and all of a sudden the money's gone. And you say, how did that happen? Well, it's not a revenue problem, it's a spending problem. So I think we just got to be really, really careful. And I'm open to talking about things that we do need, that we need to support. Just a thought.
Yeah, this is one I think that we definitely, we wrestle with a little bit. I thought we had really good deliberations as a board and came to a good agreement. As the Board of Ed was being as careful as they could be. We were being as careful as we could be. And then we gave it to the voters and they approved that level of expenditures, right? They didn't approve how much revenue we were going to collect. They approved that level of expenditures. I look at this and I think that, this is a good opportunity for us to help our taxpayers. I understand that from a town budget perspective, from a Board of Ed budget perspective, that gas is going to get more expensive. It's also going to get more expensive for every single taxpayer that's trying to fill up their tank to get to work every week. I think that's part of it. I think the whole goal of this was to provide some tax relief to our citizens. I also think we are very fortunate to have citizens in this town that voted for $109 million referendum and to rebuild 2 schools. And I think that's because they have a certain amount of trust and a certain amount of faith in how we've been trying to be very prudent with how we spend their money. I think we always argue about that. We're always very careful. I think this is also an opportunity for us to keep faith with that. I think we all came to an agreement on what the Board of Ed was comfortable with where they were as a level. The town was comfortable. I think we should look at providing tax relief with this. I think that's what kind of keeps faith with the expenditures that were approved and with the taxpayers that voted for them. I think the Board of Ed, we also have a history where if the Board of Ed needs help in April, as a board and as a town, we're going to be there to help. We always are. We're not going to let anything go negative. So that's my view on it.
Could I add one thought to this conversation before I stop talking? It would go like this. I think that this was, if I were going to talk to our legislators, I would say this was a very poorly written law, right? It is very, I don't want to pit the Board of Education against the boards of selectmen in town. And that's what's happening across the state, right? I mean, this is, it kind of came out both sides of your mouth. Hey, this is to help boards of education offset the massive cuts and inflationary pressures they're seeing from special education and healthcare and all that. But it's also for tax relief. Well, you can't have it both ways, legislator. If it's for tax relief, don't say it's for education. Give it to the towns through whatever vehicles you have for that and let them use it for tax relief. If it's to help boards of education make up dramatic cuts that they've had to make, and we have had to make dramatic cuts, then give it to us in our ECS grant and say that that's what it's for, right? But this is kind of like being too cute by half, and it's both for helping education and for tax relief. I don't like that, and I don't like that because it creates this dynamic or this perception that, oh, who's going to get the money? Is it going to be for more teachers, or is it going to be for tax relief? And that's not what we want. That's not the spirit of this. Now, that said, I know I have not had a chance to talk to my Board of Education about this because out of respect for this, we didn't talk about it last night because we knew you were going to discuss it tonight. But I know the board chair is there in the room, and she's probably going to nod her head when I say this. We have been talking about it. And I'm wondering if there's not some compromise position, right? Right now, we are in the Board of Education a $200,000 deficit caused by the $50,000 cut that was made when that last time I stood up in front of you, and the calendar that forced us to set a Board of Ed budget before we knew the health insurance premium, and we're in that deficit. I would be hoping that at minimum, you could meet us halfway and at least make us whole so that I don't have to go cut an additional $200,000 out of the Board of Ed budget, which I promise you would be devastating. Like you don't want that because we're already at the bone. Now we're talking positions and programs and activities for kids. I've got nowhere else to go because I can't not give health insurance, right? So if you could meet us at a place where we can agree, and then hear me say, we also don't want larger class sizes, and I don't want to cut this teacher. I want to keep the class sizes where they are this year. So, but in the spirit of this, it's a poorly written law. It's created this dynamic that I don't like. And I haven't had the chance to talk with the Board of Ed about it. But I think we all agree that do you have to cut it all, or can you help make us whole? And then can we get to a place where that we're helping keep all of the educational programs whole and also providing some level of tax relief? I'm all for that conversation, and I believe Laurel's in the room, and if she's nodding her head, maybe she would say that she believes the Board of Ed would also be interested in that level of compromise.
I guess, Charles, my question to that would be this. When we sat in this room for budget deliberations, all those dynamics were already known. The healthcare costs, all of that was known when we sent this. And one of the reasons that we did not, and I think I give this board credit, there was a lot of concern with sending, basically almost a 5% increase, which I think was 4.12 for our mill rate, to the voters, was just that it's a tough year for our voters as well. At the time, when we talked about the fact that there was a $140,000 deficit, or for some reason I seem to remember it was more like 154,000 or 146,000, 146. I knew if I said enough numbers, I'd get to the right one.
Yep, that's okay.
But then there was another 50,000 that you were comfortable with, that given the normal rates, you'd be able to make that up, right? And always knowing that, again, we're going to be there if you can't, or if conditions jump, etc. And I guess the question would be is that, other than the fact that gas prices have gone up, what has changed with that?
Yeah, so I'd have to go back and look at the tape, but we were in about the 140,000 and change was the deficit because of the calendar and the health insurance. the 50,000 cut that you made put me up to the 200,000. That's the number I'm talking about.
Which if I understand, right, which if I
Right.
understand, you were comfortable with 50 and you requested that we not go deeper.
Right. I think
Okay.
at that time, and I'd have to go back and look at the tape, but you likely heard me say, and it is my hope that the legislature and the governor and others are hearing, because of all of these lobbying efforts, our plea for additional funding. And that if that additional funding came in, I would be looking to use that to help make up for that deficit instead of going and cutting more from the budget, right? Because, that's like, I think that's what I said, or some version of that. Because at that time, we were working hard with our legislators. We were, again, and starting to hear from our lobbying groups and others that there is momentum and an understanding that the ECS grant base amount hasn't been increased since 2013. And all of our districts are struggling to keep budgets at a reasonable place and not cut services. So we were hoping that we'd be in this place, which is why when it came out and then it was like, hey, is this for tax relief? Further tax relief in addition to the cuts that were made, or is this to help make up for the cuts that boards of ed have already made, which I outlined for you in my presentation and included the teacher, the clinician, all of the supplies and equipment and extracurriculars and things that we've done. That's what makes this difficult, right? We were hoping that clearly this money would come in the form of additional money for education. And if that had been the point, then that's what they should have done and been clear about that. But instead that's why I started by saying, they've put us in this position where, hey, you can have the money and you have to spend the money in education, but the towns can cut the money and not give you that amount, which is it? Is it to help make up for cuts that boards of education have already done? Or is it to help offset increases in the mill rate? You can't have both. That's why I hate the way this law was written. It's frankly stupid. What is it for? Do you want to help offset the mill rate? Fine. Give it to the towns in some way, but don't be cute about it and say it's for education, but the towns can then cut it from you. And I hate that because I knew that it would create this feeling and this dynamic. And it not only is here in Portland, it's in every community that's now in this boat.
So,
Well, I think that there's a little bit of a difference though, and this is, I think, where I wrestle. I understand the difficulty in trying to craft a law, although I do think the language could have been a little more straightforward, right? A little just, a little less legalese, but I think they were trying to craft a law that covered not only municipalities that were looking at making heavy cuts to education, but also that provides some help and assistance to towns like Portland that were paying more to avoid making those heavy cuts. And the laws there to kind of craft and I think help both sides of the equation. So I think that's why it's definitely a little bit of odd. I would rather they actually just fix the ECS formula. That
Right.
would be right. That would be the absolute best way to go with this. But had that been the case, we would have probably allocated less money from the town budget up front as opposed to, right, and it would have balanced out. And I think that's what we're trying to get to today.
Yeah.
What's the best way to handle that?
I agree.
If you kind of look at just this year, right? We've already tapped into for this budget year that we're in right now, we've already tapped into our general fund for like $85,000, correct? Back in November. We have resolutions here for additional money. So that's like almost just under $500,000 that's coming out of our general fund. Right? Am I seeing that right?
it's money that's been allocated, but not additional to what was spent.
For this year,
Right.
the one that we haven't approved yet.
Right.
Okay,
So
right. So that's coming out of our general fund, not out of an approved budget.
it's already money either that's, for example,
Yep.
for example, in some of the supplemental capital improvements,
Mm-hmm.
that's money that we have set aside for that. That's not additional money we're asking for because we were able
It's
to.
unbalanced.
Right.
Okay,
And that-
that's
and
not
that's a
coming
different-
out of
right,
our.
Right,
capital.
no, it's not, thank you. It's
But-
unbalanced.
But at some point, if we are a healthy town financially,
Mhm.
we're able to support other things, right? We're able to support the Board of Ed the way they need to be supported. We're able to support if we ever have a snowstorm, if we ran out of salt, which we did, different vehicles that we're gonna need, right? We gotta plan for that. And at some point, if we bring in more money and we spend more money, there's gonna come a point where our taxes are gonna go through the roof, or we're just gonna stop spending on stuff. And then we're in a downward spiral. So we
Well-
just gotta be real careful.
Yeah, I agree with the real careful part, but I'll give you an example, with regards to salt in the whole bit. Because of circumstances there, that's why we have our contingency. That's why we have the money available for things like that. Because every year we'll have some kind of event that's either unknown and we build that into that. So, but it's a good point. I do want to add something to what Charles has said and what we're talking about with the money from the state. I've been following this pretty closely for the last 2 weeks and have gone through multiple meetings with COST and CCM and others, trying to decode exactly what the state wanted. So from Governor Lamont's office to the Senate and the intention of both and the dueling press releases, it has been genuinely a complicated issue because the intention of both have been completely diametrically opposed to each other. Like they are separate things that the intention was. So it has been something that even today, there was another discussion about that in terms of what is. An hour and a half ago, I spoke with Matt Ritter, Speaker of the House, who probably knows more about the intention than anything. And I asked him, I said, we have a meeting tonight. Where does the money go? And he said it goes to Board of Ed because that's what it is. And I've heard tonight, someone said that Governor Lamont didn't sign it. Matt Ritter said he did. So no, at a minimum, so there's been confusing messages out there. So yes, I'm hoping, and the other complication with also is we've voted on the budget. There are some towns that haven't voted. Have not. We have a vote that was, as of May 11th, it was voted on. Nothing had been signed until then. So we had to, as a board, put out to the folks in town to vote on something that there was no official rule on what the money was going to be.
Instead of us going back and forth then.
Right.
Why don't we just wait for another meeting until it says it's the Board of Ed's money or it's the town's money to allocate to the Board of Ed?
Yeah.
Because there's no reason for us going back and forth if we don't know what it's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah, I'll tell
We're
you
just
that,
wasting
Yeah.
time here.
And yes, I think it's worth for people at home to hear that it was not a clear
A
message. to
few
the
weeks
towns.
ago, Mike, you shared some information with this board.
Yeah.
And there was guidance from the Senate.
Mhm.
And then the Senate was going to modify their guidance and then chose not to.
Right.
Then there was guidance from the governor's office, which, as you said, was diametrically opposed to the Senate.
Right.
And then the Office of Policy and Management came out with guidance that was different than those other two.
Right.
And I had hoped by this point in the game that cooler heads would have prevailed and they would have got their stuff together and put out a final drop dead piece of guidance on how municipalities can allocate this money.
So-
And it doesn't sound like it's there yet.
The towns out there that have not had a budget voted on have more flexibility to do something with it. For us, because we've already voted on it, it complicates it. But no, I agree, John, with you that this needs to have further discussion and clarification. There's too many unknowns. I don't know if you wanted to say something as well. I think just another perspective.
We're not in public comment.
Yeah, well, that's, hold on, yeah, I'm sorry, we're not in public comment. No,
Yeah,
there you go. I thought it might add to this conversation because it's important. Yeah, why don't you, yeah.
Yeah.
A public comment, but I think it has been a mess for all of us. It's been a lot of, horsepower put into deciding what to do with the money. And I understand both sides. I understand there's a war going on. Things are going to be more expensive. I understand that we also have passed a budget by a 5 or 6 to 1 vote. We have a school project that also that are probably $8 to $10 million worth of other things that could be done to the school in addition to what was voted on. There are places that money could go to, but we also have voters in town and taxpayers that also need relief and need. So we have a bunch of conflicting things. I think we need further discussion about that.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable voting on the adopted mill rate.
that's
There's too
private.
many
No,
unknowns.
we should
I
push
think-
it.
I think that one
No,
needs
because
to be.
we can vote on something and it can be pointless when the clarification comes out that we voted on something that we don't have control over.
Well, if there's still a question whether the governor has even officially signed it,
Yeah.
There you go.
then
Right.
I
We need
think
to wait.
that's a red flag for me
Why,
right there.
if there's a question that he hasn't, it might be he hasn't
Right.
because it's not clear what he's signing.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, and right. And the governor's office had wanted a certain interpretation of it.
Yeah.
But, so the intent is great. It's 500 and, 527,000 plus the 52. The 52 is easy because that comes to the town, 52.9, the
Yeah.
Mohegan money. That's easy, that's clear, that's great, we got some of that. But the rest of it, it's just, there's too many unknowns, and I wouldn't feel comfortable. And to your point, Judy, in terms of talking about that, I think there's a lot of people out there that want to understand because, taxes are up, it's a lot of money, I get that, and we need to pay attention to that. So my suggestion then would be, I would say we pass on 7A, the mill rate, for our next meeting, so
Now,
June.
my query to that would be, Mike,
Mhm.
if we're gonna pass on it till the next meeting,
Mhm.
then that is done with an assumption that we're gonna get some
Clear.
crystal clear clarification.
Question though. And I don't know the answer.
Right.
Does the charter say we have to set the mill rate at this meeting?
No, I think, I don't believe it does. I
Okay.
think we target it, but I mean, if our budget had failed, we would not have a mill rate to set yet.
Well, I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
does the charter say the meeting after it passes, the
Yeah,
mill rate
yeah,
will be
maybe-
set? I don't know if
maybe.
it says that.
Yeah, maybe we should double check that. It's a good point.
We can move on to something else and come.
Yeah.
Okay,
back.
so let's,
Yeah.
let's hold off on that. All right.
Yep.
I think that's fair.
Because we've run into that before, that we had to at the meeting do it because the charter says so.
Right.
I'll look it up over.
Okay, I feel comfortable with that.
Yeah.
So let's temporarily shelve.
Yep.
7A. All right. 7B, we are also putting that to June 3rd as well. I have not had a chance to sit down with Tom and finalize that. All right. In your budget, you'll see not adoption of other operating budgets for the fiscal year 26-27. Please review that. These are the other budgets that we would normally vote on.
We've already went over all this in the budget season, correct?
Correct.
Let's just
Yes,
approve it.
it's just, exactly. So this does not.
I will make a motion that we accept the 6 budgets that are on here. If we can waive the reading and move on to other things, because it'll all be published in the minutes.
I will second that.
We good with that?
All right. Any more discussion? Less
I think
better?
we've read them many times.
All right.
So on the agenda, that would be 7E, 7F.
Oh, no.
Just the
Just 7B.
supplemental.
Oh, I got you.
I'm gonna make a motion for all of
Okay,
those.
all right, okay.
You're basically making
thought
a
you were
motion
trying
to
to real
adopt
quick.
this resolution to accept all his
Gotcha.
budget.
Okay, yep.
All right, so voted and seconded, no more discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes on 7C. Oh, sorry, Dave, I'll wait a little bit longer for you. One more time, Dave?
Aye.
Oh, there you go. All right. Just timing the delay, so, all right. So, okay, that's good. Right, we got another easy one coming up. So, Lou and Rick, and their committee has talked about changing the name, and they believe that we formally have to adopt the new name. So they would like to call the Riverfront Access Project, the River Bend Landing.
Yeah.
Make a motion that we
Landing.
change the name to River Bend Landing in New Park.
I'll second it.
Okay, Bobby, so Jim seconds it. Any further discussion? June 6th, soft opening ribbon cutting. Please be there with your kayaks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Aye.
Passes. Thank you, Dave. All right, so now we have several resolutions, so. First one is the lease agreement between Board of Ed and Saybrook Reading. Charles, would you like to maybe walk through that, or Laurel, would you like to walk through either one? For any further explanation, if that's needed by the board. Has everyone read this? Right. Does anyone have any questions for either Charles or Laurel on that? All right. Would you like to waive the reading on this?
I was just saying, does everybody understand what it is?
No, I don't. It's, so it's.
I was gonna ask,
Rent-
Okay.
so Laurel,
So
just
Laura,
briefly
quick
explain.
explanation.
I can answer too if you want. Laura.
Okay,
All right, Charles,
All right,
you're
so
up again, please.
yeah, so I'm very happy about this one. This is our ability to open a revenue stream for the town, and the funds will go to the town. We need to be clear on that. that we have space at the high school. Dave knows it well. It used to be where he operated out of at the high school. I see Dave shaking his head. He knows the office area I'm talking about has its own private entrance and two beautiful rooms. And there's actually a third room there with some office space. It's where our current transition program is located. But now that we're moving our transition program to the Main Street location, which is the other lease you're going to talk about tonight, that makes that space available. We've been approached by a outfit called Saybrook Reading. They're an educational company. They provide high quality reading services for dyslexic and other students with reading disabilities, and they would like to lease that space from us. So much like we lease space to Oak Hill at Brownstone, we would be leasing space to Saybrook Reading at where Dave used to work at the high school. It's a really nice deal. We're very excited to work with them. We use them as a vendor. They will be providing some outstanding professional development in how to instruct students with special needs in reading. And also, they will be bringing in some additional revenue to the town.
We're not giving them the 27,300 for one student, are we? It's, I don't know why that's in the lease, but
Ask me that question one more time, Vinny.
in the lease, it says, tenant will provide Orton Gillingham.
Correct.
Sounds like tutoring, for a student for $27,000. That's the, equalizing 27,000.
Correct. So right now, the way we know this outfit is that we pay them to provide services to one of our students because Orton Gillingham is a level of, especially at the fellowship level, it's a very high quality program, and we do provide that service to one of our students as part of their individualized plan. So as part of our agreement, they are going to pay us some rent, and then we won't have to pay them for that student, but they will still provide that student the services that we would otherwise have to pay them for.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
Charles, question, is Bob Shea going to relocate his office from that space?
He already has.
Oh, okay.
He's not there anymore, Dave.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions? All right. Someone make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Dave makes the motion.
I'll second it.
Second it. We've waived the reading on this thing. You ready for the vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention, motion passes. All right, we have two more things to do. We need to set up a public hearing as well as a special town meeting for this, for our charter. So, public hearing would be June 3rd at 5:20. Now, there's gonna be a number of these. We've planned them all out. We'll coordinate who's gonna be doing that, but do I get a motion for the public hearing June 3rd at 5:20?
I'll make that motion.
All right,
I'll second it.
all right, Jim seconds it. Further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes. We also need to do a special town meeting, same date, June 3rd at 5:45. Someone make that motion, please.
I'll make that motion.
All right,
I'll second it again.
second again.
We'll make it easy on Sharon tonight.
Very nice. Further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention,
Aye.
passes. Thank you very much. All right. All right, 7F, resolution for the lease agreement between NASED, did I pronounce that properly? At 259 Main Street. Rob, would you like to waive the reading of this? The resolution to recommend the authorization of a lease agreement between the Board of Ed and NASED, NAICED LLC.
Yes, I just have one question for Charles on it. On top of the yearly rent, are we paying the taxes on the property as well, on top of the rent payment?
If Tom is there, I'm hoping he can answer that.
He is not.
Nuts. Okay, so I think I'm going to take my best shot at this, and maybe I'll follow up with you with an email tomorrow in case I'm wrong in what I'm about to say. They originally came to us with something I've not heard of before called a triple net lease, right? That involved some combination of us paying their property taxes and lease rate and some other thing, right? And we weren't entirely comfortable with it, and Tom had reasons for us not to be comfortable with it. So we went to Shipman and Goodwin and said, hey, we want to do this, and that the attorneys at Shipman and Goodwin have now negotiated the lease, and part of it has to do is we don't pay taxes, we're a tax exempt organization, and there's some rules around that. So the lease that you're seeing has been reviewed and negotiated in consultation with the attorneys and reflects our obligations to remain tax exempt and not pay taxes and that type of thing. I wish Tom was there. He would potentially be able to explain it more eloquently than that, but I hope I made sense.
So I know we're not going to pay taxes to ourselves. So
Right.
You're saying we're just waiving the taxes on the property then?
So no, we're definitely. I'm gonna stumble all over my words. I don't have an answer for that. Can I get back to you on that one?
Yeah, because the way I read it before, and I'm reading it again right now, it's basically they're gonna pay the taxes, but we're gonna give them the money for the taxes.
Correct. It's just part of the lease, part of the rent.
That's part of.
So
In addition to,
and it's in addition to the rent.
Yeah, so that might be the triple net part of it. I wish Tom was there. I'm so sorry.
Correct.
Yeah, because when I read it right, it says that the base rent is, I'm assuming.
Yeah, there's base rent and there's
The
tax
41.
rent.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm trying to see that statement on the tax rent.
it's on page.
Because it just says the rent and it does not include utilities, landscaping and snow removal.
Go up to number 4 where it says rent, the
Correct.
second paragraph under the pricing.
No, he's looking at.
I'm looking at.
document.
different-
No,
different-
I'm looking at-
Oh, yeah, you won't
I'm
see
looking
it
at the
there.
lease.
You gotta go to the lease.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. That's what I don't have here. That's.
Yeah, if you go to the lease and go to
Number 4.
number 4, skip past lease year 1, year 2, year 3. It starts with base rent includes the payment of real property taxes as defined
You have a
below.
copy of the lease?
Because it
I
all,
think that's
it
the
also
problem.
says.
I don't have a copy of the lease down.
Oh,
here.
sorry. Yeah, that's why if you don't see it.
Because
Mike-
after
Mike
that, it
doesn't
goes
like
into
us now.
real
It can help you.
taxes, that if the taxes increase, the town pays 100% of the increase. So
Yeah,
the
So
taxes are in addition to the lease payment.
yeah, that's not.
That's just like us paying the rent for the bus yard.
Now, a residential lease is very different than a commercial lease, right? So in my past commercial buildings that I've leased, I was the leasee and I paid the taxes. But it was for a factory and industry. Do you know what I mean? This is a little different here. So yeah, we got to get an answer on that one.
I would also say that, you're reading it from the agreement. I'm reading the resolution and the resolution doesn't address that. I think if that's an issue, we should have that addressed in this resolution too.
Yes.
Whatever we determine.
What would the board like to do? Shelve this until the next meeting?
I would say we move this to
Get
the June
clarification.
meeting,
Clarification.
All right,
because I don't want to approve it or deny it.
I know, I think it's a
100%.
great idea.
I would
but
like clarification.
Can I just chime in on one part of this? I hear you, and I'm really sorry, and I wish that Tom was there, and otherwise, Stephanie and we could answer this question. The only challenge we have is that there will be enough time, but the time isn't entirely on our side because as we're working with the landlord, he's doing a ton of work on the house to get it ready for us. He's renovating the entire house, and he said that he's kind of on pause with some of those renovations until he has a signed lease, because he wants that commitment before he sinks his money into doing all of the other things. So I don't know if there's any way that you can move this forward for us so we can get it, be able, and we can't sign the lease until it's all approved by you and at the town meeting. But if there's any way that we can move this forward while we concurrently make sure we address the concerns about any property tax increases or the other parts that you've raised.
so I have a suggestion. I'd like to call a temporary pause to the meeting. and I'll confer with Tom to get an answer to this thing. So I'd
Can
like
you
to,
do
I'd
that?
like,
Yeah.
yes, would someone like to make a motion to pause this meeting?
I make a motion, we pause the meeting.
A second. All those in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention. All right, so we'll take a break.
5 minutes.
Better to get the answer now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm also going to call Stephanie while you're doing that, Mike.
All right.
Wait, make sure Dave's back on.
Yeah, let's get Dave back in as well, and also get Charles, Dr. Britton back. All right.
Wait a minute, don't start till they're both
I
back.
won't.
I'm here. I have
Especially Dave.
Stephanie on the phone too. So
All right.
Okay, we all back.
Oh, good,
Okay.
good. All right. So,
Did we make a motion
so
we
someone
did-
make a motion to go back. in
I'll make a
session?
motion to go back in session.
Someone
Second.
second that? Andrew,
Second.
Andrew second, all right. So my apologies for the delay. We needed 10 minutes to get confirmation on a question regarding this lease. We spoke to Ron Robinson, who clarified that question. And I think the board understands that the increase in the taxes are included in the rent cost. And each year, if there's an increase in the actual value of the home, we'll pay the differential. And they've had the shipment attorneys look at that. They feel comfortable with it. Dr. Britton has as well. So does the board feel comfortable with that lease as it's written right now, as they understand it?
So the taxes
and-
are included as part of the rent.
Yeah.
And if taxes increase, then the rent increase is commensurate with the taxes.
Right,
Correct.
yes. Right.
And
Otherwise, the rent
and,
stays.
and the reason that is just really the important part is the lease in year 1, year 2, year 3
Mhm.
is unchanged.
Right.
That's why he's just trying to reduce his risk.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Fair.
All right.
Okay.
That makes sense. Charles, are you still there?
I have Stephanie on the phone, and she said the exact same thing. So we're all on the same
All right.
page.
Beautiful.
And Dave Kuzminski.
Synchronicity. I like that.
Dave, did you hear that too? Okay,
All right.
did.
good. Okay.
So I'm gonna
Yep,
recommend,
yes.
I'm gonna recommend that we actually read this just because we talked about it. Someone be willing to
I'll
read
take
it?
it.
All right.
Okay, here's the resolution. Town of Portland, Connecticut Board of Selectmen dated May 20, 2026. Resolution to recommend the authorization of a lease agreement between the Board of Education and NICED, NAICED LLC, and to call a special town meeting to approve the authorization. Whereas benefits exist to the students of the post-secondary transition program to have the program located outside of the high school, middle school campus. And whereas space at 259 Main Street, Portland, Connecticut is available to rent lease from NACED LLC, a Connecticut limited liability company having an address of 423 Center Street, Wallingford, Connecticut 06492. And whereas the 36-month term is set to begin on April 1st, 2026, with options to renew at the end of the term. And whereas the base rent is listed as $41,564.28 annually and does not include utilities, landscaping, and snow removal. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Selectmen approves of the Portland Board of Education to enter into a lease agreement with NACED LLC, a Connecticut limited liability company, having an address of 423 Center Street, Wallingford, Connecticut 06492, to lease 259 Main Street, map 29, lot 258, for the educational purpose of providing a facility for a post-secondary transition program commencing August 1st, 2026, for a 36-month term with the terms and conditions set forth in the agreement, and be it further resolved that in accordance with Chapter 5, Section 503F of the Town Charter, a special town meeting must be held to approve this action.
All right. Do I have
I'll
a second?
second it.
Right, Jim's gonna second it. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
That's in favor, right? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Now we need to set the public hearing date. I have that. I'd like to make a motion. We set that for June 3rd at 5:30.
I'll second it.
Right?
I made the motion.
And I seconded it.
All right, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Aye.
Motion passes. I'd like to make a motion, to set up a special town meeting.
Are
on
you
June-
making the motion or are you
I'm
asking?
gonna
for
make the motion. I'd like to make the motion that we set up a special town meeting for June 3rd at 6 o'clock.
I'll second that.
John seconds it. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstention, motion passes. Thank you.
And just to interject, the three of us, I've got a copy of the town charter. The three of us looked at this document. There doesn't appear to be any defining date in
Okay.
there that holds us to tonight.
Okay, great, great. Okay. That is good to know. And I think that's the right thing to do as well, so. Fantastic, all right. 7G, resolution for supplemental appropriations for capital improvement plans, Board of Education. This is a short one. I'm going to ask that someone read this. It's substantial dollars. I think it's important that we do that. Who would like to read it?
I'll do it. It's fine.
All right.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution titled Supplemental Appropriation Capital Plan Improvement for BOE Security Upgrades dated May 2026. Whereas Portland Public Schools recently received a reimbursement of a state grant in the amount of $39,638.34 for multimedia school security grant program. And whereas Portland Public Schools is in need of additional security improvements and upgrades. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Selectmen hereby approves an increase in the estimated revenue for state grants in count number 08-141-000-00214 in the amount of $39,638.34 for school security grant program and a supplemental appropriation to number 08-141-000-89010 Board of Education system-wide BOE security upgrades, including doors, for $39,638.34.
I'll second that motion.
John seconded. Any further discussion?
So basically, the Board of Ed went in, they applied for a grant, they got the grant. And all of this is for them to now spend the money that they got the grant.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been.
Oh, my God. Is this for real?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on getting the money that you applied for.
You look shocked.
It's getting used, I'll never get used to this.
All right. That is a good sign. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Abstention, motion passes. I'd like to make a
Aye.
motion that we, oh,
Can I ask one question before we move on?
yes,
With us setting all these public hearings,
yes.
the public hearings overlap with our public meeting times.
So they should all be sequenced out properly.
We're setting public hearings for 5:40, 5:50, 5:55.
Right.
We have our first town meeting at 5:45
Right,
in the middle of all those.
right. We spaced them out between 5 and 10 minutes based on what we thought the timing would be, because we had to get it all in before the next meeting. I know it seems like a tight schedule, but we have to fly on these things.
Okay. Good.
No. But when you see the schedule, you'll.
I just wrote
Yeah.
the schedule down and it doesn't make sense.
There's not a lot of time, but some.
No, but you're having a special town meeting between two of the hearings, is what I'm saying.
But they should be for separate ones.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not gonna fit them in there at the time to start.
We're hoping we can, because,
Go ahead.
yeah, we're hoping we
I
can.
won't be there anyway, so go ahead.
You might be choosing wisely. All right. I make a motion to set a public hearing for June 3rd at 5:40. Someone like to make,
You want a second? I'll second it.
all right.
I'll make the motion.
You made the motion. I seconded it.
All right. Further discussion?
No.
I know Bob won't be here. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
I think that's a yes. And abstention, motion passes. All right,
We now know what the time delay is from here to High Street.
pretty much. All right. I'd like to make a motion for a special town meeting to set June 3rd for 6:15.
I'll second that motion.
All right. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
That was an aye. Abstention, motion passes. All right,
I kind of get what he's saying.
Right.
This doesn't make sense.
It's gonna be really tight.
But
it's gonna be, we made it,
John, it doesn't make.
no,
sense.
but you do have things inserted. Like at first I thought you had all the public hearings,
Well, but
boom, 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 but you don't.
No,
Then you have a special meeting inserted in between
Yes.
a
Yeah.
couple of the public hearings.
thank you.
Yep.
okay.
So it is very,
I'm mapping it out right now.
When you
Don't-
write them down in two columns, it's not this one, all the
Like
public
the-
hearings finish, and then you start all the meetings. The meetings start in the middle of the hearing.
yeah,
Well, that is gonna be a problem. So,
Yeah.
let's get, okay, all right.
one of
I
them
will
is
take
wrong.
that.
Can,
Chris.
can we just put it into a block and just say, all of these are gonna happen,
No, they
Let me
gotta.
get this-
they
They
have
have-
to-
they
they have to-
have-
they gotta be
they
spent
have
on
to
time.
be-
but in the same day?
Really only the first one is wrong. This 5:45 really,
Okay, we're gonna
special
start.
town meeting
Okay,
can't
goodbye.
really happen because you should be going five in the blue, 5:20, 5:30, 5:40,
Oh, I think now I
5:50,
see it.
5:55.
But
But this would have to start at 6:10.
Yeah.
It's this one that's messing everything
so
up.
which one?
I mean,
Which one? The one that we did for?
We're trying to see the overlays.
That's the one that's in the middle of,
If we have that meeting at 6 o'clock and the next meeting at 6:05, everything will be fine.
right,
But right now, it's in the middle of
right.
two hearings.
It's that one that's wrong.
Okay,
right?
so okay, so we need to, all right, so we need to amend this. then.
Yes.
So
Yes.
which one are we amending? Hold on.
Yes, you need to amend, well, then you're gonna have to amend.
No, you can just
We have
amend
time
that
to
one to
get
be
them.
at 6:05.
Right. All right,
You
and
can
that,
put it after the 6 o'clock one.
which one is that?
They don't have to be in order. We just have to do them in order that night.
Right,
Yeah, that one just has to be 6:05 or 6:10.
so which one?
The seven E,
So we need that,
you need to go back and make the special town meeting at a time that is after
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Okay.
And for the ease of not changing everything else, you need to make it like 6:05
okay, so
Yes.
is 6:05 the time we want?
or 6:07 and
Wait
30
a minute,
seconds.
this one here, the next one on F, your special town meeting is at 6 o'clock.
Because all the public hearings are over by then.
Okay,
See, that's the only one they messed up.
All right,
the
okay.
blues go
Bobby, I
over.
take that back. You were 100% right.
Okay.
I can admit when I'm wrong.
I
All right.
hope I never get used to this.
So do we need to go back?
So we
and
need to
make
go
a
back to
motion?
that one.
We
yes.
just need to amend the
Yes.
the
All right.
time for the meeting.
So I would like to make a motion to amend the special town meeting time that we had set for item 7E from 5:45 to 6:05.
I will
Yes.
second that.
Bobby gets to second that. Anyone want to third it?
Yep. So
Yes. The meeting time will be at 6:05.
The public hearing, we approved originally a public hearing at 5:20. We're amending it to make the public hearing at 6:05.
no,
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 wrong.
the
special town
meeting
meeting,
I'm sorry.
special town
Meeting.
meeting,
is at 6:05.
You guys do it.
6:05.
Mike made it.
I make
seconded.
a motion, Bobby enthusiastically seconded it. And we changed resolution 7E for a special town meeting from 5:45 to 6:05. That puts the universe back in the right place. It rights the wrong. Was the most resigned, okay. All right, and then we already voted on the supplemental appropriation for
Yes,
G.
after D, we're at
Okay, good.
H.
All right,
Now you're at H.
You're at H.
okay, good, I want to make sure. All right. So I'd like someone to read this as well, please.
I'll take it.
All right,
Okay,
We are on H.
H.
7H.
7H,
7H,
there you go.
snow removal. Resolution Board of Selectmen, Town of Portland dated May 20, 2026. Supplemental appropriation, snow removal department and grounds department overtime. Whereas during this snow season, many storms fell on weekends and holidays. And whereas there were more snow and ice events than in recent past winter seasons. And whereas snow overtime, line item 01-038-000-13002 for highway is over budget by approximately $86,000. And whereas grounds overtime count 01-036-000-13002 is over budget by approximately $9,200 at the current time, in brackets. And whereas the salt shed is at the lowest levels it has been in years, and the Public Works Department is concerned to have the salt shed at such low levels. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Selectmen hereby approves a supplemental appropriation from general fund balance in the amount of $122,000. The allocations for the general fund are increases to the snow removal budget, line item number 01-038-000-13002, overtime $86,000, and increase line 01-038-000-65001, road materials for $24,000, and to the grounds department budget number 101-036-000-13002, overtime $12,000.
So we had the fortune of having storms hit us on the
Yeah.
worst possible times this year, so.
I just have one question, and since Jason's here, what will the $24,000 get us in salt material? Like, are we talking a quarter of the building, half of? Drop in the bucket?
What's the $24,000 is what?
Jason Morocco, Director of Public Works. If I remember correctly, I think it's gonna get us about 300 or 500 ton of salt, so it'll be another, third of the building, so let's say half of it.
Okay.
Where normally we're at about 3/4 to full at this point for next year.
All right.
I don't think it's been seconded, so I'll second it.
Okay, Jim seconds it. Further discussion?
Is this just a fund transfer to a previously approved 2026-2027
No,
current budget year?
No, this is coming out of the fund balance.
So 100% out of our cash?
Yes.
Yeah.
This and the next one.
Okay, so that's what I was saying previously.
There you go.
Where someone, okay,
It's coming out of the
Probably-
savings.
okay.
Yes.
Feels good, does it?
No, it doesn't feel good, but I understand it.
It's in total is 356,000
Correct.
out of our savings.
Right, 357 on top of the 85 that we spent in November.
And the 300 we put in the budget already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'm not,
Yeah,
Losing my mind
these
here.
two are that line right there.
yes, exactly. Okay.
All right. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, I'll make a motion on item H that we set a public hearing for June 3rd, 2026 at 5:50 PM.
Second.
Bob, does that work? You? All right, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstention, motion passes.
And while I'm at it, I will make a motion for a special town meeting on June 3rd, 2026 at 6:30 PM
For H, right?
for H.
Second.
Andrew seconds it. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion passes. Thank you. And one more, so a reminder, after the audit was done, the funds here that we're about to spend were allocated for the extra, I guess the additional money that the town had left over. So we had taken it out of the budget for next year to reduce down the mill rate as much as we can. And this surplus from 2025 has now been allocated toward these things that were taken out of the capital budget.
What was our surplus from 2025?
I want to say it was 238,000.
What was it?
I think it was around 238,000.
It was about a wash on this one. Yeah, I think that's right.
Basically, this was instead of, we basically used the surplus from last year
Mhm.
to fund these capital expenditures as opposed to collecting the money again that,
Correct. So, correct. All right. Would someone like to read this?
Sure, sure, why not?
It's $250,000. We need to let people know.
Yeah, no, this is good to cover because these fill some needs. But again, I do think from a discussion standpoint, it is important that this was what we did. This was what we decided to do when we took these items out of the budget.
Mhm.
And so we would do a supplemental using the surplus from the previous fiscal year.
Yep.
And that's what this is.
Right.
All right, so I make a motion that we adopt the resolution titled Supplemental Appropriation, Various Capital Plan Improvements dated May 20, 2026. Whereas there is a need to replace an equipped police SUV with a computer at the expected cost of $64,250. And whereas there is a need to replace an ATV for forest suppression for the fire department for approximately $60,000. And whereas a new infield groomer for the grounds maintenance division is needed at an expected cost of $55,000. And whereas there is a need to replace the equipped vehicle that the Director of Public Works uses at an expected cost of $55,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Selectmen hereby approves a supplemental appropriation from the general fund balance in the amount of $234,250. The allocations of transfers for the general fund are increases to 01-093-000-90012, transfer out capital non-recurring towns by $234,250. The funds will be transferred to Fund 8 with an increase to estimated revenue of 081-141-000-00501, transfer in general fund by $234,250, and increases to expenditure lines in Fund 8 as follows. Account number 08-141-000-89080, Police Department, equipped cruiser replacement, vehicle replacement, $64,250. Account 08-141-000-89040, fire marshal departments, ATV replacement / forest suppression. Explanation is ATV replacement in the amount of $60,000. Account number 08-141-000-89050. The department is grounds maintenance. The account description is replace infield groomer. The explanation is equipment replacement, and the amount is $55,000. And then account number 08-141-000-89090. The department is public works / office of the director. The account description is replace director's vehicle, and the explanation is vehicle replacement with an amount of $55,000. The total being $234,250.
I will second that motion.
All right. Further discussion?
I know we talked about this at budget season, and I support the four things that are funded on here. But this total wipes out everything excess that we had from the 2025 budget year. And our fund balance, in less than a year, we've taken $900,000 out of it for different projects. So we dropped almost $1 million in less than a year. I just think that's a lot.
And if we start to think about where, impact to the taxpayer and taxpayer relief, and we start talking about other revenues coming into our town. People say, where's it going to go? It could potentially go to stuff like this. But that 234,000 is 100% coming basically out of our cash.
It's out of the surplus from 2025. Yep.
It's just like, you're taking money out of your CD to pay your to buy a car or whatever. That's, you're putting it into your checkbook to spend. It's coming out of your cash. Okay. All right.
Well, to be clear, we're putting this on the table and approving this to go to a public hearing.
I understand.
Yeah, and this is consistent with, I think, the deliberations that we had during budget season. Because we were working to keep the mill rate as reasonable as we could.
Right.
And
Well-
given all the other stressors, and this was one of the,
I think we were aware, but we weren't talking about it at the time of the overruns in the previous one that we just did, which were out of our control because it all had to do with
true.
Mother Nature and storms and things that have to be done. But we all saw Tom's monthly report on what our status were on those things. And we pushed this off instead of, I think, negotiating and moving other things out of the budget to pay for these things. It's just scary to me that how fast we're going through the money and the fund balance. I think that's a lot of money. That's all. And the people get to vote at the meeting how they want to do it.
Anybody else? We'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
I,
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstention? Motion passed. All right. As it goes, public can have their,
Wait a minute,
Point of
you
views.
gotta set your dates on it.
oh, sorry, we haven't done that yet?
No.
Excuse me.
All right, we're on item I, capital plan improvements. I'll like to make a motion to set a public hearing for June 3rd, 2026 at 5:55 PM.
Second.
Second by Andrew. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes.
And I will make a motion for a special town meeting on June 3rd, 2026 at 6:45 PM.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Excellent. All right, I got an easy one for you because it's already been paid for. On number 7J, I am requesting from contingency $1,620 to pay for an event this Friday that everyone's invited to for the Public Works Week. Last year, our Public Works team won $2,500 from Kerma to be used as they choose to see fit. They've chosen to wait until now to pick an event that they'd like to do that. They left some of the money for the town to spend on some needed things as well, but it will be from 11 a.m. to 1:30 this Friday. Please come down there. There'll be food, pizza, a lot of pizza, and Jason will be down there. So what else do you need? So,
I'll make a motion that we approve that.
right. And it needs to come out of contingency, just the way the money flows.
Bobby,
Bobby made it.
I'll second it.
Jim's got it.
Second by Jim, he was just slightly faster. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion
Aye.
passed. Excellent.
And congratulations
All
to
right.
all our public works.
Yeah.
You're right. They're very, very hard working and they do everything under the radar. Nobody knows what's getting done. It just gets done.
It's like one of those things, when it works, you don't notice it. When something stops working, that's when you notice it. So anyways, excellent job. Thank you, Jason. How long's it been now that you've been here? How many months? Since August? August will be a year?
I was gonna say, I think right now he thinks he's going on year 3.
3 Portland years, right? So anyways, that's fantastic. Looking forward. That's gonna be good. All right, refunds of excess payments. We only have 2.
Make a motion of refund of excess payment for CCAP Auto Lease Limited, $538.74.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion
Aye.
passed.
Motion for a refund of excess payment, Tesla Lease Trust, $953.67.
I'll second it.
2 seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstention? Motion passes.
Aye.
Do we want to circle back to the mill rate now? And,
Sure.
and
Would you like?
are we,
We wanna
So,
officially table it till.
yeah, so it's, all right, so why don't you make the motion?
make the motion that we table it until our June 3rd.
Okay. So
I'll
Bob's making a
second
motion,
that.
so Bob's making a motion that we table item number
7A.
7A until the June 3rd meeting to get more detailed explanation of the funding from the state. Did Jim second it? All right. I think that's the right thing to do. All right, old business, ongoing. Jason, do you want to do a quick update on some of the projects going on? This might be an opportunity to run through some of the things. You stuck around this long.
Jason Morocco, Public Works Director. So I call it the kayak launch, but what did we just rename it? River Bend.
Ben Landing.
River Bend Landing is, I would say 90% complete. We need to do the fencing. That's gonna take place on the 27th. Weather permitting, other jobs that they come up, but they do know that we want to have it done, by the June, ribbon cutting. So that's still in motion. We have some signs that Public Works needs to put up, but we're gonna wait till the fence is up just so that we know exactly where they're gonna go. There's gonna be one up towards the entrance as you drive in, and then one down towards the newly constructed parking lot towards the Connecticut River. High Street, second phase of High Street is in the works. We're working out the final details so that we can go out to bid. High Street, the first phase is complete. The section that Birmingham did last fall, they came back this spring, switched over to the new main, and then we took out there was 2 fire hydrants on High Street. We took one of them out and decommissioned it, and we're now working on the new main up to Clearview. A little past Clearview. The numbers estimating for phase 2 of High Street from our engineer came back a little high, so we're scaling back that project a little bit with some add alternates, depending on how the project comes back. We are working on the well project at Gospel Lane, that we're going to be doing some test borings in the next week or so to see what the condition of the material is at where the current well was drilled, and also by the existing bocce courts / horseshoe pits, just to see what that material is like, because my understanding is that's kind of where all the fill went when they built the fields, kind of got pushed over there. So we just want to see what that material is like as far as supporting a building and so forth. So we're going to do 2 test borings over there next week or the week after. Once those are done, then we're going to decide potentially where the new well house would go, so we can move forward with designing that. We don't want to design it and then, at the 11th hour, change our mind. So we're going to decide where that's going to go after the borings and then move forward with that. The 2 locations could be closer to the well that was drilled up on the hill, or over by the horse pit bocce courts, depending on how the borings come back. Where our sidewalk project, they finished Homestead and Highland. I think if I'm not mistaken, they still have to do a little bit of restoration, but the sidewalks are done. And they were supposed to they're gonna move over to Main Street, start by Company 2 and work their way down to the north. We're gonna save the brownstone sidewalk. That never in my life did I ever think that they would construct sidewalk out of brownstone, but they did, so we're gonna save it. So we can use it in other places, in other parts of town if they want. Some of the residents have expressed interest on keeping a slab or 2, and we said that we would gladly put that on their property, but we're not gonna put it anywhere else besides, right next to where we pulled it out of. What am I missing?
High Street.
Also with the connectivity project, we asked the state if we additionally asked for a change order to do curbing and island improvements on the south side of Main Street from Walgreens to, about, just south of the post office. Because there potentially might be a project with the state to do a road diet. We have abandoned that idea because I don't want to spend the money to then have it be ripped up in say 10 or 15 years. So I asked the state if we could do East Main Street from Freestone to Spring, both sides, and Waverly, both sides, which got approved. And we just got to do the change order paperwork for that. So that's going to be after they finish Main Street. Kind of slowed down with the grant slash loan application for the sewer plant because we ran into an issue this week with our UV system. And we're trying to figure out a resolution. Our UV system at the sewer plant is only operating on one of the two banks, and we can't get any replacement parts because it's 25 years old. So we're looking into a temporary system and coming up with prices to replace that, but it's probably in the 1 million range. So we disinfect with UV from May 1st to October before it gets discharged out to the Connecticut River. So we might start having issues with those numbers as the discharge with the state. So we're looking at avenues for that. We also have, as you can see, the air conditioning now in this building is not working. We're working on getting that repaired as well. We've hung the banners for the America 250, one on our highway garage fence, one on the fence at the Biz. And if I drove under it and I didn't see it on my way back to town, we were going to put the one up across 17. We were just trying to figure out, because we never hung it, Public Works, we were trying to figure out how the fair does it. So we're looking into that.
Got it.
Questions?
So one thing I think we'll talk about, you approached about a truck that you thought might be helpful for you guys for cleaning out that truck. So we had talked as a board, we had talked about things that we could do to maybe make things more efficient or maybe do some things ourselves that might save money. I thought it was something at least worth listening to. So I'd like Jason to kind of present to you what his thinking was. It doesn't cost anymore. It might save us money, but it's one of the consolidations and efficiency things that I thought worked.
So it was brought to our attention that there is a used jet truck slash vac truck for sale. It's a 2005 vehicle with 17,000 miles on it. It could be used for jetting sewer lines, catch basin lines, and also sucking out catch basins or any sewer emergencies that we have. The price for it, as it sits, and I have pictures if you guys want to see, just is 25,000. When you first think about it, it's okay. I got to come back to this board and ask for $25,000. I get it. It's not an easy ask. So what I thought of was in my budget line item for next year, I have a catch basin cleaning line item that is once or approved or adopted is 30,000. I wanted to ask if I could take 25 of that 30,000 and buy this truck, and then next year remove that line item for the budgets for previous year or in future years, because we will be doing the catch basin cleaning ourselves instead of hiring a contractor to do it. It would take 2 guys to operate the truck, but 2 guys already go out with the contractor when they are here, because we write down the conditions of the catch basins, we write down that they did it, and then they do the work. So in aspect of labor hours, it's going to be pretty much the same. It would just be that we own the truck. We could use it for sewer backup, sewer manhole cleanings, stoppages. We could use it for catch basin cleaning. And then also when we had that, issue this fall, at the high school, we could have probably managed most of that ourselves instead of calling Middletown, which Middletown is awesome when we call them, but we probably could have managed that, sewer backup at the high school maybe a day faster than we did with, asking for help from other towns, even though they responded very quickly.
So you already have 30,000 budgeted for storm drain cleaning. And we would just have to say, it's pretty much storm drain cleaning. We would just do it ourselves by purchasing the truck for less than what you're budgeted for.
Right.
Correct. And then, my thought would be next year to eliminate that line item from the budget moving forward, which would save the highway budget potentially 30,000.
So year one, we save 5,000 and then we save the 30,000 recurring.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
You just take out.
Yeah, you just
little diesel and maintenance, but it's not $30,000 a year.
It's gonna be a lot cheaper than the.
Correct. We would perform the catch basin cleaning ourselves through the course of the, year. We would have the truck for sewer, issues. And then potentially that budget line item for storm basin cleaning would be eliminated.
So you could also use it for like water main breaks.
Yeah, so if we,
Sensitive areas, instead of using a backhoe, you can.
correct, we could also, because it will have onboard water, if we came into a situation where we're on a water main break and we needed to suck out the water out of the hole, we could use this truck. We could also use it to wet down the hole to make the ground softer, and we could suck out around utilities. So let's say we had a gas line and a water line, or a gas line in our storm line, we could use it to suck it out instead of having to call in a vendor. Yep.
I thought it made a lot of sense and it kind of tied into what we had talked about during budget season.
It
Trying to be
saves
creative.
money, and it gives us, like he said, you don't have to keep asking other towns to come in and help us.
Our mechanics went and looked at the truck this week. They gave it their blessing. I haven't personally seen it, but the guys who went and saw it, I have faith in them that it is what they say it is. Also, we have our current jet truck that we have at the sewer plant. We would not need that anymore, so we could auction that piece of equipment off. Because we wouldn't need two of them. It's older, doesn't have a lot of hours on it, but we take care of it. It's been in a heated garage its whole life. So we would auction that piece of equipment off.
So
Seems like a win.
it seems like a win to me as well. I don't know if we need to do an official bid waiver, but I'd like to get maybe a vote on, is this something that the board would like him to pursue?
It seems like a no-brainer to me that you're gonna save money and you can keep it in-house and you can use it whenever you need it. And we have needs for it year-round.
I was gonna say,
Make it
it's not only gonna save us.
I'll make the motion that we approve to use the money for catch basin cleaning to purchase the truck.
And I'll second it.
All right. Further discussion?
It's a win, and it gives us not only savings on that one line item, but more capacity, more capability.
Do we need to do any bid waiver in the future to approve it?
I'm gonna check, but let's go with the vote tonight. I will confirm tomorrow
Okay.
with council.
We
So,
don't want to lose this thing either.
no.
The gentleman who has it right now has pretty much said he's waiting for us to say yes or no.
Mhm.
He hasn't showed it to anyone else. He knows we're going through a little bit of a process, so we will let him know that you guys said to at least yes to exploring the next option to move forward.
So I'm gonna call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain, all right, motion passes.
Look pretty good up there.
I will condition it with. will confirm the-
I have this question. Can we just take a consensus? Who would be in favor of the bid waiver to proceed with this? So Jason can tell the person, yes, it will be.
I would
we
be in favor of that.
Vote on that, just vote on it straight up. And just,
Even if we have to make it official at our next meeting,
Right.
he can go to the person and say, yes or
Examples.
no, the board will approve the bid waiver for us to do it.
So by a raise of hands, if this does require a bid waiver, who would be in favor of that?
I would.
All right. You raise both hands? All right. So, all right, so that's great. So I will find out tomorrow. If it requires an official vote, we'll do it June 3rd, but I think you have the full support of the board.
All right,
So,
thank you.
you're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
Good idea.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the projects that I was talking about? Yes.
Yeah, I had been asking Michael and he had sent something to the Board of Selectmen. Michael, do you want to give us an update on that?
Oh, PFAS. So we normally test the well every year or two. The last testing of the well, I don't know if you have the copy of the latest report, you might have it. Showed no, for the well, the well that we're testing around shows no PFAS in the deep well where we're going to be going underneath the clay layer. In one of the tests, I believe 2 years ago, there was a small level of it, but it was beneath any actionable level significantly. And the test can pick up like 1 per billion parts. So our water is
Are
clean.
you talking about the deep wells?
Yes. The
'Cause
deep
my-
well,
'cause
there was
my-
nothing in the deep
I
well.
was gonna say, the deep well, there was nothing, and
Nothing.
then we had also done
Shallow
sampling
well.
from not our town well, 62 feet,
Right.
but the intermediate, right?
Right.
We had gone through the first clay ladder, yeah, and that's where it was like a trace.
It's traced.
But below any kind of action.
Yes, but it's below any kind of action.
Yeah.
Our well is clean. The water is safe. I know it's come up in the past, but I'm glad you.
I just wanted to bring closure to that. I've been asked by a few people
Mhm.
and I know we discussed this here.
Well,
Um,
people got scared when MDC came in and
Said big scary stuff.
that was his threats every time was, you don't know what you have, you don't know what you have.
Well,
And
people listen to, unfortunately, the CEO, Scott Jellison,
yeah,
and I think they missed the whole that we did test it and it's okay.
Yeah.
But now everybody hears it again. I mean, it's something to be concerned about.
Right.
And, this is still being voted on. It might not even be. They're still debating it. The whole PFAS thing.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Correct. This isn't a mandated,
No, not yet.
yes, this isn't a mandated test or anything we have to do for our water system. And we don't even know if it becomes mandated what the levels are gonna be.
Correct. I just wanted to get it on record. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
I have a question. Are you here till the end or are you gonna leave soon? I can just ask you a simple question now if you want.
Permission to leave? I second that.
I think it was before you came in. I think it was with Ryan O'Halpin that we had talked about work that needs to be done at the monument on Bartlett Street. And we had talked about maybe if we had to put a curb around it because the water coming down Bartlett Street hits the back of it and it's eroding all the masonry work and separating the stones.
Okay,
I know you have a huge list, but if that's something.
that's the Civil War monument?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did look at that because Mike asked me to do that. We do have money from LoSiP,
Mhm.
but it can't use it for that.
Okay.
It'd have to be to fix a building or a structure, not a monument.
Okay.
So we could look at doing something so with the water coming down, doesn't keep blasting it. I could look
Yeah.
into that, yes. The repairs of the wall and the monument just weren't covered under the same funds that we used to repair the Buck Foreman.
Okay.
And speaking of the Buck Foreman, I believe they're done with. all-
They are done with Buck Foreman, yeah.
So, GL Capasso is the one that did that. If you get a chance to go by there, they made it look great. They repaired, must have spent 17, 18 grand worth of work over the last couple weeks.
Yes, it came out very nice.
It came out beautiful. So,
And not only did we fix the brownstone, the appearance of the front, we also did a change order and we fixed some brickwork in the back that we thought maybe critters were getting into. So we did that too.
yeah, critters. Very good. Any other questions for Jason while he's here? If he wants to get home?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
That's all right. Very nice. All right,
Appointments of boards and
Reappointment?
committees.
yeah, let's do
Appointments?
this. Yeah, I don't think we have anything tonight.
I don't have any on our side.
Nope, fantastic. All right. Updates on the Nordic Spa. I'm just gonna go really quickly through this. Nordic Spa, they're gonna do some hiring starting July 1st through end of August. I believe they're gonna be renting out a room over at Brainerd Place and doing interviews over there. I'll keep people posted. So if someone's looking for a job or wants to apply, there's already a website out there. I'll post it this Friday on the Portland for Selectmen page. So you can link to that and apply there, but they are looking right now. River Access Project, June 6th, Saturday. I don't know the specific time. I believe it's 11. Is it 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Okay, I just want to make sure. It still has it on. So 10 o'clock, it'll be a soft opening. There's a lot of invites there. It should be really, really good. Looking forward, if you can make it down there, that would be wonderful. Airline Trail, nothing new with that. Nothing new since last time. POCD, nothing new with that. We've already talked about the water well. I am set. It's all that. So from my left, status of committee reports.
I think we've actually got great reports tonight on our water, sewer, and from Parks and Rec, so I have nothing to add.
Beautiful.
Before I do that, just quickly, because I guess we're in updates too. Jen, the librarian, handed me this before the meeting, and that's I just wants to get the information out, so they said change is coming. The library is migrating to a new software. So there will be limited availability for placing holds on items starting May 12th. Limited library services from May 26th to June 3rd. That's because I guess as you migrate on this new software, every day the data gets older and older and older. So there will there'll be no new library cards provided, no new holds, no online account access, and more. So you need to have your library card to check out, especially non-Portland residents. And the library will be closed on May 29th and May 30th for staff training on the new software. And I went last night to the Board of Education meeting. Actually, the two items that we talked long about, the first part of the meeting were discussed. There were, and I'm sorry, kids, I don't want to butcher these names, but there were student recognition awards provided last night to Eunice Njeri and Toby Hunter, and student leadership awards to Anna Piachik and Lucas Kirsch.
Just check that.
There was a Valley View discussion of the play-based learning, which sounds really cool, which is going off quite well. And then quite a few course adoptions that they dealt with, and then I got essentially kicked out for executive session. So the only other thing I will say is a POCD. The youth representatives, the student representatives on the Board of Education were very, I'd say they were proud to have been involved in that POCD discussion. It was the student senate and the student officers, I guess, that sat down and actually got to go through and have the POCD explained to them, and they were asked for their ideas and comments, which they thought was very cool. So, that.
Really cool.
Yeah, just last week, so in between meetings.
Hey, Mike, if I can,
Well, sure. You got it, Dave.
just a quick update, Mike. I've reached out to Chris Pachula from Pomeroy Lodging for the Nordic Spa, and we're going to be doing a podcast with him in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, great. Let me know when that is. I'd love to come down there.
You good? Dave's good?
Sure.
Okay. Yes, I
Thank you.
attended, thanks, Dave, the economic development meeting last week. Just a couple of quick things. They continue, I think I brought it up
It's been a mess.
last time, that they were working and had identified businesses that are over 100 years old, and they're working on these commemorative plaques. There's a lot of great history there. They may ask the businesses to include something in the time capsule that's for the 250. And that is something that they're probably going to come to, Mike, if they haven't already, to do some sort of presentation in a BOS meeting. And then the other thing, they had some conversation around working with the 250 committee on pole banners, the flags or whatever, in conjunction with those two groups. So those were the main things that came out of that.
Okay, great. Vinny?
We did have on May 7th, the Board of Selectmen. Some of us participated in their POCD. So that happened. And the Portland Housing Authority, they're getting ready to start their new year, and they did elect new officers. Basically, no change.
Okay. All the same.
Capital doesn't meet, and planning and zoning doesn't have anything big on their agendas.
Okay. That's a point. All right. Public comment. Renters sweeping.
Kim Hannah, 3 Butler Lane. I just want to make a little addition to my rant from before. The request to close that gate was not for the entire day. It was just from 9 to 2. Eversource didn't start work till 9 o'clock, and they beat feet out of there by 2 because they didn't want to be in the middle of any of that. And I know when we talked about this in February, you guys had said that you were going to have them only open, at least for the month of March, in the morning for opening and in the afternoon for dismissal. And they did that for a week, and they decided they didn't like it, and they went back to their regular time. So, but this request was not for the whole day. It was just for that block of time, middle of the day when school's in session, and there really shouldn't be a lot of use to the road. I think there's a flash sale at Dunkin' at 8:30 because there's about 15 cars that head out about 8:30. So they must be something going on, but so.
No, I don't want to start back and forth. We talked about that before, and we said about an hour in the morning when school goes in, and an hour in the afternoon when school lets out.
Right.
Because I think a lot of us agreed it was a big safety issue.
Mhm.
If the gate's open all day,
Mhm.
that's a back way in for someone to get into the school, and
And
the
be off the
administration in
camera.
the school doesn't know about it, because you're not coming over the hill by the water towers, by the main entrance, and the offices see the car coming in.
Right.
It's a get out and it's a get in without being noticed.
Mhm.
So I just don't know what the school's reasoning would be for having it open all day.
So I'd like to propose actually something. I'd like to propose something, because we've talked about this for a couple months. It's been a year and 2 months I've been hearing about this, and I understand that. So I'd like to make a motion to this board that we set the schedule for that gate officially as a board from in the morning time between whatever, for the 2 hours in the morning.
It
And
doesn't even
towards
have
the
to be 2 hours,
afternoon.
if it's- yeah.
Again, subject to change or whatever, if we need to change it, because again, I need to get them in there, but I think I'd like to set at least a standard schedule with other exceptions being talked about this all the time. I'd like to get at least a vote from the board on whether we agree on that.
Well, I thought, I think I'm referring to the same meeting you were talking about, Bobby. I thought we
Well,
made a recommendation that you were gonna
We-
talk with them and they were gonna try it out.
I did. I was told that they had done it for the whole month. I'm finding out that it's for a week. So I'm just finding it out right now. So, because I'd been told that it was, there were some issues with it, but they were still able to handle that. So that's kind of new information.
I understand we have big events up there. If there's
Right.
a
Exception.
big track meet,
And those
voting,
places, they
whatever,
open it up.
it's open.
Right.
But it's a major safety concern to say that it's gonna be open all day, whether it's kids cutting school and getting out and not being noticed, or somebody coming on the campus and not being noticed.
All right, so let me clarify. So I'm gonna make a motion that we work with Board of Ed, but we set a schedule for that, for a morning time open and
Yes.
afternoon time open for the safety of the children and safety of the students in the school and leaving and coming to the school, so that we can set a routine and set a pattern and routine for what we do.
And I will also say beyond the safety of what Bobby was referring to, I mean, Kim Hannah lives on that street. I'm only going up and down it periodically, but I know getting onto High Street from that road is very blind for the cars coming down that hill. And I'm concerned about all the young drivers.
I am too.
Right. But if you go out the main driveway, the visibility pattern is much better. Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
So you got a motion.
Yeah, and I'll caveat that with, I've spoken with Bob Shea a number of times. His concern is also with safety, so he is in line with what we want as well. And they do have some insight with different events as to when it may need to change. So some of that gets deferred to them as well, but,
On a daily basis, there should be a schedule.
right. And
Simple as that.
we can at least start with that and then exceptions as we need to.
Yes,
So the motion's been made. Who's gonna second it?
I'll second it.
John's gonna second it. Any further discussion?
Yeah, as long as I'm hearing you say that this is gonna be a discussion with the Board of Education and the
Right.
administration.
Yes, yes.
Not that we're just single-handedly making.
We are going to, we will work with them to set up the schedule that we feel comfortable with. And it involves the morning and afternoon times that we have done over the years. And we want to make sure that's clarified. So,
Okay.
and if we need to, do a meeting with them or bring them into the meeting so we can establish that. I think there's enough, we talked about enough times that I'd like to kind of.
So yeah, I mean, I've been hearing this now since the 1st of November, right? And I guess this sounds like just a tactical administrative thing. I mean, for it to, maybe I'm missing it, but for this to rise to the level of, we're discussing it at 9:20 PM, the Board of Selectmen about a gate, when it's gonna get opened and closed. Maybe that's what we're charged with doing, but I think it's something that should be handled at the people that work for the town and with you, Michael, and the Board of Ed. I don't think it has anything to do with us. I mean, maybe I'm totally wrong, but it's escalated to this level because it sounds like nothing's been done about it. But I
Well-
think we got better things to do.
One of the reasons
opinion.
that I came to the Board of Selectmen is because when this started last year and I was communicating with the principal, and there was a few incidents that were scary and dangerous and everything, and I let her know about them and a couple questions we had. I got a very derogatory letter from the school resource officer that threatened to have me arrested if I communicated with them again about it. So I stopped and I forwarded that to Mike. He knows because he was in on that. So at that point, I stopped bringing it to the school and brought it here. My biggest concern has always been, as I've said, that intersection is dangerous and you're putting the inexperienced drivers scare me, but there's a lot of adults that don't care either. They're not exhibiting good behavior to these kids to learn from. So it's pretty scary thing.
Mike, is from a standpoint of safety, there's 2 cameras on that end of the building. The one that shines over the out at the student parking lot, and there's one that shine on the just to the left of the greenhouse, which shines over the rock and over to the field house. They might want to consider putting another camera on that end of the building, which is going to take in that gate.
Good idea. Well, I'll be talking to Bob tomorrow anyways, just about what we discussed on it, but, all right, so the motion is we are gonna work with Board of Ed to solve this problem, and we want to make sure we get the best and the safest solution possible. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstention, motion passes, all right.
Okay.
So we'll set that. All right, oh, please. You waited this long.
I'd like to address a couple issues that the superintendent brought up.
You just gotta say.
I'm sorry,
Again.
Judy Grippo, 10 Middle Haddam Road, Portland. 32% of the population in Portland voted at the last referendum. When I went to vote in middle of the day, there were a lot of people that don't have children in school. I supported the school referendum, as I know a lot of older people did as well.
Right.
When I voted for the budget, it was presented as the budget. So to go back and give the Board of Ed another $550,000, we voted on the budget as proposed. So I'm not sure how you can go back and change things. Let me just finish. Healthcare insurance went up a lot as far as the superintendent. I remember him bringing that up before. Well, my healthcare has gone up. My gas prices have gone up. I went to the grocery store today and the yogurt I love to buy was $8. I walked by it. So I say to the superintendent and the Board of Ed, you agreed to this budget and you have to live with that budget. Just like I had to live with walking by that yogurt. I know that sounds silly, but I walked by it because it was $8. It went up, a couple dollars since the last time I bought it. So, and I also think it's very disingenuous for the the superintendent to say, make us whole. And I quoted him, I wrote it down when he was talking. I'd like to be made whole too, but I couldn't buy that yogurt today. I'll fill my gas tank up and it's going to cost me $70 the next time I go there. We all have to live within our budgets, and that includes the Board of Ed. And I also voted for the school to be passed, which is over 100 million. I know we're going to get reimbursement. So, we support the town. We support what you do. I'm just saying to you, we need tax relief. And this would be a good time, since the town overwhelmingly supported the building of these new schools and renovating the new, the schools, that you show the taxpayers of this town that you support us as well. And so I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you. I'm sorry, it's 9:25.
Why we're here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll just make one comment about what you said, because you're not the only one that's asked that. The budget that was voted on was the spending budget. So the town decided that was what they're budgeted to spend next year. It didn't have anything to do with how much money came in. So that was part of the thing, but I don't want to say the timing was terrible, but we had already voted on the budget, but this money dropped in. So it's great. It's like one of those good news, bad news things. The town gets $500-something thousand, which is wonderful. I said the town and Board of Ed, but the timing was terrible. There's towns all across the state that were struggling with budgets that hadn't been voted and we still don't have clarity on it. So stay tuned. I'm assuming you'll be in our next meeting, either here or watching and stuff like that, but we should have a lot more clarity on that. But I agree with you. Anything that can help out, we need to do. And I am sure that the Board of Ed, like the Board of Selectmen, was also looking at all the numbers and being very careful. They're 2/3 of the budget, and they also, have, a lot of staff that are doing that too. So I trust and believe that they're doing the best they can, as they trust and believe that we're doing the same thing here. We're trying to get down as much as possible, but you could still debate numbers and have a vigorous discussion about it. And I think that's okay too. So we need to defend the numbers that we put up there, and if we need to do changes, we do that. So, all right, with that said, thank you again for coming up there and staying as long as you did. All right, any more public comment? Nothing, all right.
Anybody else online?
Yeah.
I got a comment last time somebody was online, but they didn't notice them.
All right, informal discussion.
Yeah, I had, oh, good.
I was just gonna say a quick announcement, one other hat I wear is I'm part of the parade committee. Just a reminder, the parade is Sunday. It kicks off at 2:00 from Company 2 Firehouse, right across the street. Lineup is generally starting at 1:30. If you're coming to March, 1:15 makes sense. We get y'all lined up, stepping off for 2. And the weather is, but remember, the Portland Memorial Day Parade is rain or shine. So keep that in mind.
All right.
Yeah, I was just gonna, I just wanted to, congratulate our fire department
Yes.
for an excellent event on Saturday. Congratulations. I had never had an opportunity to go to a wet down before.
Very cool.
And the bagpipes were playing, and it was cool to see not only, I think the ladder from Company 1 was there, but also we had other fire folks from other districts that came. And it was a nice celebration and a nice event, and I congratulate them on that.
Absolutely.
It's different seeing them all come together when it's not a tragedy.
Yeah, yes.
Absolutely. So I just had a couple things to say. The last couple days, after the budget referendum and the whole bit, I got a chance to spend 2 days unwinding after a crazy 4 or 5 months. And during that time, I got to thank John as Deputy Selectman for stepping up and doing a couple events. One was the state sawmill event, which I think is wonderful. I don't know if people saw that, but
Yes.
I did.
all right. So,
Yeah.
but I saw the videos. I don't, I'm not sure if people at home know about much about that, but that might be what we're talking about, the fire, the wet ceremony, but also the hometown festival. And I don't know, did she already take off? She knew that I was going to ask. But we had the hometown festival on Saturday. I heard it was wonderful. I saw the videos. I called in some people that were doing that. So a shout out to that committee that put that together. It was wonderful. John, you were there. There was reenactments and the whole bit, but it was just a great hometown. How'd you describe it today when we were talking? It was just a great feel from everyone that was there.
It was one of those, it was a perfect day. it wasn't overcrowded, and I saw families there literally for hours. It didn't appear that they rushed in and wanted to rush out. They were
Yeah.
just there to have a good time for the day, and it was a very great event.
That was good. Anything you got? Good. Good. Yeah.
The only thing I have is like when we read about the lease for the Saybrook Reading, but this is one of the things I brought up at budget season that I think we need to put money aside for certain things.
Yes.
We don't plan enough for the future. Our land acquisition fund is pathetic for what we put aside, and we plan on, you know, if we have to buy land for the airline trail or something more along the riverfront or whatever that the town needs, we don't have the money for it.
Right.
Because any kind of revenue that we have come in, we just throw into a general fund and it disappears. Just like the state does.
Yep.
We leased the parking lot on Lower Main Street and it goes to the general fund. That was one of the things that should have easily, it's,
We could
you
have
know,
put that aside.
unexpected money, we could have put it aside for land acquisition. We don't. We never put anything aside. It's just throw it in there and everyone has at it. So.
I'm gonna add something to what you said, but I think it makes sense. We had talked about getting an efficiency committee together in terms of making sure, like with the truck today, where if we can spend a little money that it saves us because we can do some stuff ourselves. I think that's something we need to look at. So over the course of the next fiscal year, we need to look at if we can modify, if we can get other deals that bring more revenue in, we direct that into the funds that we think are gonna have the biggest impact. So I think we need to focus on that. So I think that's a really good idea, Bob.
The only other quick thing I have is it's not gonna start tonight, because it's too late, is the school building committee. Are we talking about that at the first June meeting?
Yes, yes. So we have a couple things to talk about there. So it's a good segue. So we had talked about reviewing the ethics rules. Also reviewing all of our ordinances that we have. We've had people talk about blight and other things. Our efficiency committee and also the town charter and the building committee. So we have a number of things that we need to start taking action on. So at the next meeting, I will be reaching out to you individually over the course of the next 2 weeks, getting feedback from you on how we need to set that up. How many people do we want on there? I've already done some research and looked at, you know, what would be a good mix for a building committee? You know, how do we want to split that out? People have already started approaching me about wanting to be on there with the credentials. So people are interested. They want to be involved in this thing, whether it's the building committee, whether it's what's going to happen with Brownstone. So we're going to have a lot of work to do this summer. But for the early June meeting, I want to talk about each one of these committees. We will prep before then. I will talk to each one individually in terms of getting your ideas for what it looks like. And I'm hoping that we will have a couple things to vote on in terms of what committees we could set up. So
The only thing I would say to that is we have to be very strategic and really look at the right people for each committee, because we all know
absolutely
that you see it in every organization in town. It always seems like it's that same handful of people that do everything. And you have, 4 or 5 major committees you're looking to hear for people that you think could do a great job. And I hate to say it, there's gonna be some overlap in the people you're gonna think about for these committees. So we really have to give some thought to find a large pool of qualified individuals.
I have 3 resumes for people for building committee already that just.
So that's only 3 people for
No,
one
but-
committee out of 5.
No, no, I understand. What I'm saying is already sitting, but that's the one that's caught a lot of people's eyes because they know that's a big project. But yeah, so we need to do that.
Well, the thing is with the school committee too, it has to be a fast moving committee.
Mhm.
Because their recommendations and what they want to see in the building, the architects then have to put into plans before it can go out to bid to the contractors. So it's not a committee that can take a year to come up with this.
Right.
Construction should be starting in just over a year.
Yeah, there's
So-
already, yeah.
It has to be a fast paced committee that wants to hit the ground running and meet often and get this job done.
Right. And they're also, and also needs to be a variety of talents. You know, there needs to be someone that knows the money. Someone needs to know all the details, like the building, but there's a number of things. So that will come together. But yeah, we have a lot of work to do. I know someone had mentioned to me to remind everyone about the renters rebates. Would you like to, I don't mind you going up there and saying something really quickly. It's not public comment, but I just want you to mention it really quickly because you were handling that.
Yeah, no, and I was, and I'm enjoying it, actually. I have a bunch of new friends. Portland is very lucky to have a rent rebate program for people renting at Chatham Court, Quarry Heights, and other independent landlords on Main Street and various other sundry places. We have about 8.5% of our housing is rental properties, which is great. It's a wonderful thing. The rent rebates are available to anybody over the age of 65 and also disabled individuals. There's information at Quarry Heights and at Chatham Court that I was able to take over in the last couple of days, a checklist of documents that are required. And once you know what you're supposed to bring as far as your 1099, your disability statement, bank statements, Eversource, any DSS money. Once you have all of your documents, make an appointment with me and we'll process the paperwork. And luckily, the checks are available after November. We have from April the 1st till September the 30th to process. Right now, I think I have about 75 or 85 folders that of people from the past years who have applied. So just a reminder, I did put a River East reminder for youth services that we are doing rent rebates at youth services. So come down, see me, call me, and the rent rebate program is well and alive.
Thank you, Meg.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. All right, with that.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
all set. He got you to it. All right. All those in favor?
All right.
Opposed, abstention. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.